Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot, and in today's video let's talk about the secrets behind maintaining the centerline that can be both on takeoff and landing as well as during taxi operations. And we'll start by having a look into the flight crew training manual and what is set in there. The flight crew training manual says the following. The captain's position and some first officer's position are equipped with the nose wheel steering wheel. The nose wheel steering wheel, commonly known as the tiller, is used to turn the nose wheels through the full range of travel at low taxi speeds. Maintain positive pressure on the nose wheel steering wheel at all times during a turn to prevent the nose wheel from abruptly returning to center. Rudder pedal steering turns the nose wheels through a limited range of travel. Straight ahead steering and large radius turns may be accomplished with rudder pedal steering. And this is where things start to get interesting. Basically, the excerpt from the flight crew training manual that I have just cited for you tells us exactly how we need to steer the airplane. And there is a little term we are using in my airline that is normally used in relation to the rudder when you have an engine failure, but it works just as well during taxi, and that is the term squeeze and freeze. Now what that basically means is you are going to apply a set amount of rudder input and then just keep it there, instead of doing several abrupt, short inputs. Have a look at this. As I'm about to start my left turn here, I'm inserting a set amount of control input, and then I'm just keeping it there. Note how the tiller and the pedals are turning over here, and do note at this point that I am using the rudder pedal only steering option PMDG 737, but things would work just as well with the pedal and tiller option. If you're using split controls between the pedal and the tiller, then when you are at normal taxi speeds, you should be using the tiller. However, the flight crew training manual explicitly warns that if you are going faster than 20 knots, using the tiller might result in getting very strong inputs and thereby losing control or making taxi very uncomfortable. So, look over here how I'm using the most minimal inputs, which are barely visible, in order to keep my plane on the taxi line. If I need to do some small steering, I just do it like this. Have a close look. That's a tiny bit of movement there, and that is all I do. And like this, the airplane steers perfectly. And now we are back on the center line. So, the overall secret behind keeping the center line is to do very smooth and continuous control inputs. We are going to see it when we line up on the runway on the next turn. And this works regardless if you have strong crosswinds that might cause your airplane to break out to the side, or if your airplane might just be a little bit bent after a couple of my last landings. The technique works at all times. So, to summarize, make a smooth control input into the direction where you want to go, and then just freeze the controls in the position. So, let's slow down a little bit, approaching the next turn to the right hand side. And here we go, have a close look at the controls once again. Starting the turn, I slowly put my rudder deflection in, and then I simply hold it in position as we're going through the turn. There is pretty much no variation in the control position once the turn is established, and I smoothly take the airplane out of the turn by returning my controls to the central position. It is very important here that you don't just let go of the controls when you want to finish the turn. Just like in the real 737, if you do that, you are going to end up in a very abrupt maneuver. So, once again, as we're about to line up on the runway, look at this. The input is in, we're turning, and as we approach the end of the turn, I'm slowly returning my controls to the center position. And here we are. Alright, so let's demonstrate how that works during a takeoff run. and have a close look at the controls once again. Stabilized, set takeoff thrust, annoying auto throttle bug there. Okay. So, returning to the centerline, very smooth input once again. Now that we're on the centerline, watch how I'm doing just very minimal inputs in order to keep the airplane there. And then we have V1, rotate, after liftoff, smoothly bring the controls back into the center position, retract the landing gear, and that is it. That is the secret behind keeping the center line. Now, the other secret behind keeping the center line is not to let yourself getting distracted. If you saw me going a little bit left and right at the beginning of the video while I've been reading the flight crew training manual, or if you saw me going to the left of the center line when starting the takeoff roll, those came up because I was distracted as first I read the FCTM out for you, and then later on the takeoff roll I have been distracted by the auto throttle disconnecting. So keep in mind, taxi is a critical phase of flight, and therefore doing anything that is not directly related to the conduct of the flight should be delayed to a later moment. This is going to be it for this video. I would like to thank you very much for flying with me. Hope that you have enjoyed this one, and if you did, then I am looking forward to welcome you all again on the next video. Until then, thank you very much, and I hope to see you all again, hopefully very soon. If you do want to support the channel, you can do so by becoming a channel member, or by simply using the Buy Me Coffee link that you can find in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and see you all again on the next one.